So I am going to come out and say this right now. I feel like this is probably the best glitch out of any crew game or even out of this entire franchise. Now, the funny part is, I don't technically know if this is actually a glitch, bro, because it's kind of in the map design and obviously a flaw in the map design itself. So I don't know if it's technically a glitch, but my goodness, it is so dang fun, dude. So if anybody is wondering, I am going to show multiple different locations of this in the background. But the first one I do want to show here, if you guys are playing the Crew Unlimited, you can go and do all of these literally right now, by the way. You are not missing anything or have to do anything special to do it. The one thing I would recommend, honestly, is probably a Rally Raid vehicle, as the terrain can be kind of insane. But the first one you guys are going to be finding here is going to be located near the big lake by the East Coast wording, right near New York. This is the lake you guys are going to want to head over to with the waypoint I have active. This is going to be the location to get into the first part of this, at least this area of it. That is going to take you around to a bunch of locations. Now, the funny part is, if you might be wondering exactly where this is, again, guys, head over to the waypoint I have in the video, but you can also clearly see that there is going to be an issue here because the water isn't connected to the map itself. So guess what? You can literally drive under the water and kind of just explore anywhere under the water, bro. It's actually one of the coolest things I have ever seen. And the funny part is, people are probably going to be like, Block, that's not that special, man. You just drive under the water. Well, the funny part is, we all do know how big the Crew's map is. I am talking about the original Crew game, by the way, and or 2. The Crew 2 did not have this bug, if you guys are wondering. I did end up checking. That was actually the first thing I did end up doing. But if you are looking to get on the Crew Unlimited and kind of explore the entire underpart water of the map here, you can literally do that. Now, hopefully when multiplayer does end up coming out, you could do what I used to do back in the day. Like my friend and I would pretty much come down into under the water and just explore everywhere in Rally Raid vehicles, trying to find different things or figure out where we could go, where we couldn't go, and stuff like that. It was so dang fun. And there's a few things I did want to point out here with this, guy. So everybody probably does know you're not going to be pretty much immune under there. Like if you go too fast and you jump above the water, you're obviously going to be out of the glitch, and normally it's going to spawn you on the ground itself. It might end up spawning you under, at least some areas might end up doing that, which I'll get into that later. In other parts, you might not be able to pass at all because of the water, or it is pretty much going to be closed off and you have to find like a route around it or trying to find a specific route. That is not going to send you above the water. Being in the hood view is going to help with this, which I did notice. And if you are trying to get to certain areas, you might actually have to do that. But you guys will see in the background here, though, I'm currently going to be by New York, kind of heading under the map here in the Ford Raptor. This is something I did want to do, guys. I'm not going to lie. I was really thinking about this. I did end up maxing out my Rally Raid vehicle, which, again, that is probably a requirement I would recommend. Make sure you guys have a Rally Raid vehicle that's going to be mildly leveled. That way you can have some power to get over some things. And you also may not get stuck because some of the hills down there and some of the terrain are honestly going to be an issue. But when I was heading over to the New York side, though, I was kind of exploring under there and trying to find certain things. You're going to find boats floating. You can literally see the entire part of the map. One thing that really blows my mind, though, is there's also going to be full terrain under here, bro. Now, I know this might end up sounding dumb, but the fact that this entire under part of the water is also going to be terrained, in a way, it kind of makes me think that maybe this was intentional. Probably wasn't, but I do kind of feel like this was in there, and they're like, you know what, man, we probably can't go back in and fix this now, so we're going to have to leave it in there. And I really don't think anybody's complaining about it, dude, because it adds on to even more places you can explore with many of the vehicles in the game. Like, I'm going under here going, okay, so if I go that way, where am I going to go? And if anyone is wondering, if you are under the map on the side of where you guys are seeing me in New York, you can get all the way to Miami, okay? You can literally go from the water, under the water for that matter, all the way to Miami. You literally can. You can also go all the way up to the top of Maine. But of course, you're going to have to watch where you're going and actually find a route. And there is a few things I did want to point out here. So y'all know how I was saying there's a lot of terrain under here that you can drive around. It's kind of insane that we're going to have terrain. Well, not all of it is going to be finished in some places. Like in the background, you guys are going to notice that parts of it is literally missing. And you can see under completely pretty much every part of the area that you're actually in. Yes, you're going to have ground you can drive around on and stuff, but you're also going to notice that you really can't go that way, or if you keep following that said route like where I'm going currently in New York, you really can't continue to go that way, as you're basically just going to crash anyway. Now, one thing I did notice is there a way around this? Well, sometimes, but normally you might actually have to go a different route, which you guys probably also saw me crash or go above the water, and I literally spawned right there. So sometimes it is going to work, other times it's also not. Keep that in mind though if you're in some areas and you're going really quick. Like let's say you're going 150 miles an hour or something, you might not be able to stop in time. You might just fly right under the map, bro. And what's kind of hilarious is not every time you do that, it's going to spawn you above the map. You might actually, I have noticed that there is going to be like literal spawn points around under the water. Does that make sense? Probably not, but it does. So if you do end up crashing though, you'll spawn somewhere under the water in that set area. So guys, keep in mind if you're super far away and you do end up messing up somewhere, like maybe you're trying to get to Miami, you might end up finding other spawn points, as there is going to be more of those over there. But if you don't and you mess up, you might end up spawning all the way back to a specific area. So keep that in mind when you are exploring under the map and stuff like that. It's also kind of hilarious driving around and getting under the Statue of Liberty, bro. Like, I never thought you'd be able to do that. And it's something I was always like, why is this not in the Crew 2? I feel like it would be so dope. Then again, this was probably an unintentional bug that they had in the game and they probably couldn't fix it, as the water's not going to be touching, part of the map there. One thing also is question, how is it raining under the water, bro? You guys notice that? Like, it's literally raining under when you're in there. It's actually kind of dope. I do understand the rain will hit the water, but it literally looks like you're driving on top of the map and the rain's just hitting you. It's kind of hilarious, actually, how that looks and gives you the entire vibe even under the water. It's pretty insane. Again, guys, if you want to go on that side of New York, you can head over, go up toward Maine, go all the way down to Miami. Just be careful on where you are going, and you'll be able to pretty much travel almost anywhere under the map. But on the other side of that, you can also go the opposite direction. Instead of going right when you guys enter this lake, go left, and then you're going to notice a different route. So I would probably say going this way is going to be a bit more insane, and depending on what vehicle you are running can also make this one a tad more difficult. So you can follow this way all the way as you normally would, and you guys are going to notice pretty early on how bumpy this entire area is. But specifically in one part, in order to get to the next area of this and actually head all the way over to the Detroit Lake, you're going to have to get over one of the really tiny hills here, and for some odd reason, like you guys will see in the background, my Ford Raptor just could not do this. Like, I did find different routes and, trying to get an entirely full run up the hill, where I just couldn't get up it. So I'm like, all right, well, let me go try a different rally raid vehicle. The one I did end up using for this that did not give me any issues was going to be the Nissan R34. For some odd reason, this car is way better than I thought it was going to be and remember it being. So I would recommend trying this one out if you guys want. Again, my vehicles are maxed out, so that might make a difference. But I would say well over 1,000 as long as you have a running start. You should honestly be good to go. Now, after a few mess-ups, though, I did end up getting to the hill, and I managed to get up it fairly easily. Like, I backed up a few times, and I was like, okay, well, this thing is going to handle the bumps better. I don't know if it's because this car's lifted a little bit more. Honestly, I have absolutely no clue, but I did end up getting up it. Once you do that, you can basically then follow this to the end, and then you can head over from there. Now, keep in mind, you guys can also drive out of the map, by the way, so be careful. Some of the areas around this, it isn't going to tell you where the border of the map is. So if you are trying to do this, you can easily fly out of the map, or if you're driving too much to the right or something, you can easily drive away from it and kind of just screw yourself over, then spawn all the way back in a different area. So do keep that in mind when you're doing this. One thing I would do is I would kind of stay on the left side of the map, right on the hill where the water pretty much meets it. Stay in like the hood view if you have to, that way you get a better view, and kind of just follow this all the way there. This is one of the easiest ways I found to do this, and if you follow this all the way around long enough, you can literally get all the way to the gigantic lake that's going to be between Chicago and also Detroit. Yes, you can make it all the way to it. Now, is it going to be a drive? 100%. You're going to have an interesting route to that area because it's not really hard to get to, but it is going to take some time to kind of following the side of the mountain and stuff like that. You don't drive out of it. You're also going to see like broken ships and different things on the way there, which is probably one of my favorite things in the area, because you can pretty much drive right near this. You can also spawn out, look at the map, and notice the ship is right there as well. Kind of like little cool things. You'll see like boats floating along, and you'll notice the houses and stuff like that. Kind of like a cool piece of detail. But the thing is, once you get all the way around to that lake, guys, things get really interesting. And I don't know, it kind of makes me think that maybe some of this was intentional, or maybe some of it was like a test area or something. Because when you guys get all the way to the lake that's going to be near Chicago and Detroit, there's going to be mountains everywhere. There's going to be like trees and stuff like that, and just all kinds of things that you would not expect to be under a lake in the game, bro. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to be there. Like, there's going to be 4 random trees under here. There's going to be mountains and different things, and it kind of makes you wonder if maybe they put objects under there. Also, maybe if they knew players are going to find this, who knows? But I kind of think about that stuff. And if this was an intentional thing, or maybe they did it on purpose, I'm honestly glad they did. The other thing I did want to mention, though, is if anyone is wondering, is this going to be the only location like that? Definitely not, guys. There is going to be other ones. Do let me know in the comments below of some of the ones you found, although I do want to show a few more that I did end up finding. For one of these is going to be in the mountain states in the snow. You guys know that tiny lake up there? Well, there is going to be a really funny one over here, man, that just kind of makes me laugh when I see it. The water is nowhere close to even touching the side of the map. Like, look how that actually is, bro. Probably make you laugh, but you could drive right into it, follow the river up there, go down into the lake, and drive around. And yes, it is going to be like a speedy area in the snow, and it's kind of funny. You're under the lake in the snow. You see the mountains. It's also snowing under there with you. Kind of a weird experience, but also very fun. So do go try this one out if you are looking for more of these. And who knows, you might end up ending up like my friend and I back in the day, pretty much driving along every river in the game and lake trying to find more of these. And you know what? You might actually find more of them because there is a lot of them around the map. The other one I did end up wanting to show here is going to be a bit harder to see, especially looking at the map. But funny part is, it was one of the ones my friend and I used to do a lot. This was one of my favorite ones to mess around with. And again, there is more of them. This one will be located kind of near Yosemite in one of these small rivers. And I also want to mention this again because I'm sure people are going to say something about it. There is going to be more of these in other parts of the map, so do let me know if you do find more of them in the comments below. As I am searching for more of them, my memory kind of came back when I started playing this game, and I did find this one. This was one of the ones my friend and I did end up finding by Yosemite, guys, in the West Coast. You can go in there, follow this. You can't get too far because going toward, like, California, that one is pretty much going to stop you because of the rocks. There's another route you can get to California from, but I'm going to have to search for that one. But this is going to be another one you can mess around with. The terrain on this side in this river area, though, is honestly going to be pretty insane. So I would recommend using something like the R34s. For some odd reason, this thing just eats the bumps. And it's also going to be very good under the map, which never thought I would say any of that in one sentence. But hey, new time for everything, right? This is something, guys, I kind of wish other games would do. Like, this is not harming anything at all. And it kind of gives players another way to mess around the map and find other things and explore and stuff. And we all do know, again, that there's going to be a lot of these around the map where you can find other areas, more places to cruise. And it's kind of something that will give you something else to do if you might end up getting bored. Or maybe you're like, hey, dude, you want to go try to get over to Maine? Or let's get all the way to Miami under the map this time. It is going to give you something else to do. You'll pretty much explore all those areas under the map and see, like, the weird hills and the really wonky design they have under there, which is pretty insane how there's so much terrain under there. Kind of makes you wonder if this was going to be something they might have had tied to it, maybe something special. I don't know, man. I could just be yapping right now. Either way, guys, do let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. To this day, this is easily my favorite glitch out of any crew game ever. And again, I don't know if it's necessarily a glitch, as it's kind of something that's on the map itself, but it might be a water glitch, which would probably work. But do let me know your thoughts on this one in the comments below. If you are playing the Crew Unlimited, you haven't done this, head over to one of the spots. You are going to have a great time, and honestly trying to figure out where you're going is probably the funnest part too. But do remember, you can drive out of the water sometimes. If it's going to be too close to the water, like you could drive out of it, it will normally spawn you back under there. But the question is where, because I noticed there's like a spawn point in different places when you're under the map. Why? Honestly, who knows? I have no idea. You can also drive pretty much out of it as well if, like, the areas are missing. So if you're going too fast and you can't tell, you can kind of mess up that entire run if you're going to be super far in a different direction. Again, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Easily the best glitch out of any crew game. And honestly, out of a racing game, I don't know of anything like this and basically any of the other ones.